A lot of people want to make money like the 1%. However, they don't budget their money like the 1%. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the 15, 60, 25 wealth budgeting formula. Let's get straight into it. 15% should be used for future freedom. This is investments and savings. This is what you do before you do anything else. Before you pay any bills, before you spend any money, before you do anything, do this first. Now, if you're behind on bills, like let's say you got laid off last month and you're in a transition to your next job, and so obviously you got to pay the bills that you just missed. Pay those bills first, right? If you read the Bible, Jesus is very clear about getting those things paid. When you owe somebody, you pay them. You stay up all night, you work multiple jobs, you do what you got to do to pay off the debt that you owe. Now, once you're caught up is what I'm talking about. If you're at zero and you're caught up and you're about to move forward, this is what you want to do. You pay yourself first. Investments, savings, about 15%. A lot of times I'll see people say 10%, which is cool. However, 15% just gets you there a little bit faster and allows you to do a little bit of both, right? This is your pay yourself first category, the foundation of financial independence. This includes investments, index funds, ETFs, stocks, real estate, crypto, if you understand it, retirement accounts, Roth IRA, traditional IRA, 401k, SEP IRA, etc., emergency funds. You want to get 3 to 6 months of living expenses in the bank, right? That's one of your first goals. High yield savings for large future purchases like a home, car, education, etc., right? You want to kind of get that stuff moving. You want to get that cycle going, right? Now, the purpose for this, like I said before, builds long-term wealth through compound interest, asset ownership, and financial security. The wealth don't just save, they invest strategically. Everything has a plan, everything has a reason. They're not, you don't just become wealthy randomly. And here's a pro tip: automate this portion, treat it like a non-negotiable bill. Most people, when they see their paycheck, also let me throw this in before I say that. 10 to 15% of the gross, not the net. So you want 10% before taxes, not after taxes. So a lot of times people will get their check back in, and let's say you make let's say you make $1,000 a week before taxes. 10% of that number, 15% of that number, not 10% of the what do you usually take out? Like, I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of dependents, so it's probably different for me. But depending on your W-2 income, right? You don't want to take not the 10 to 15% of the number that you get in your paycheck, unless you're 1099. You want to take the 10% of the gross, what you should have made before taxes, right? Hope that makes sense. But anyway, automate this portion. Most people are super emotional when it comes to money, and so they get this paycheck and they're like, I don't want to take $90 to $1,000 of this money, or however much of this money, and go put it somewhere else. I want to spend it, right? But automate it so you don't even see it. Automate it so you don't even see it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to create a discipline around it. It just goes over there, and it becomes just like extra taxes, for lack of better words. The 60% is for living expenses, right? Needs and responsible living. Your living expenses shouldn't be 80 to 90% of your income. That's called living above your means. If you're spending that much of your income on your expenses, you're literally living to pay bills. And that's why you can't get ahead, is because most of your income, you're trying to live like a life, you're trying to live a life that you can't afford to live. So why do you expect it to be a life that's comfortable, or that even you desire? You can't live it because you can't even afford it, right? This is where your day-to-day lifestyle fits in. It includes your essentials, but also asks you to be disciplined. This includes rent or mortgage, utilities like water, electricity, gas, phone, internet, all that stuff. groceries and household supplies, transportation, your car payment, gas, public transit, health, auto, home insurance, debt repayments, minimums only, child care, school supplies, pet care, etc., etc. The 60% is what allows you to live on a day-to-day basis. And this should be about 60% of your income. The purpose is to help you live comfortable, but not excessively. The wealthy often live well below their means early on. This is how they create bigger margins to invest more. This is why it happens so fast, because on the front end, they're not spending all their money trying to impress people they don't even like. They're not trying to have status. They're just like, I need to get out of this phase as fast as humanly possible. And so they live below their means. If you go look at Elon Musk, the guy freaking, have you seen his story? Like, go look at some of these people. Not Steve Jobs. What is his name? I can't think. Jeff Bezos, right? Go look at his story. He was in the freaking garage building Amazon. Like, go look at this stuff. These guys aren't living in mansions as they built their businesses. They put all that money towards the business so that it grows and it pays them back later. They don't try to do both at the same time. You can't. You literally just can't. And so the goal is to keep this under 60%. The more margin you create here, the faster you accelerate wealth. And that's the goal. The 20%, growth and opportunity, self-investment. Now, a lot of you guys are probably like, whoa, damn, 20% on myself? And not on like fun stuff, just investment in myself, like growth? Yes. This is your personal growth engine. It's where most people don't spend enough, but the wealthy double down. What this includes: online courses. So when you see those coaches online where you're like, damn, I probably should take that course, but you try to figure it out yourself, you should probably take that course, right? Certifications, college classes, books, events, masterminds, coaching, mentorship, business startup costs or reinvestments, tools, software, or training that increases your earning power, content creation gear, podcast equipment, design help, etc. The purpose for this is to grow your skills, income potential, and entrepreneurial abilities. Rich people buy leverage and learning, not liabilities. Again, rich people buy leverage and learning, not liabilities. They purchase assets even when the asset may not pay them back with money, but the asset could pay them back with learning how to make more money or learning how to go do something else, right? They're not just spending money on clubs and hanging out and buying these fancy cars that don't like there's a reason, and there's a rhyme and reason for everything. Pro tip: allocate more here as your income grows. This category multiplies everything else. The 20% is a multiplier for everything else. I'm gonna say it again. The 20% is a multiplier for everything else. And last but not least, the 5%, enjoyment and generosity. You guys are like, damn, you should have started with this one. This one is for fun and giving. This is your joy and impact fund. It keeps your financial life from feeling robotic and allows you to bless others and enjoy life with boundaries. What it includes: giving, tithes, donation, helping family, friends, dining out, hobbies, streaming, travel, new clothes, gadgets, concerts, dating, dates, anything that brings joy but isn't essential. Purpose: give you permission to enjoy life without guilt, while also practicing generosity and gratitude. 2 key traits of wealthy people. One mindset shift for this one is give on a percentage, not a feeling. Oh, that's a good one. The wealthy plan giving. They don't leave it to chance. You need to have this you can put this in a separate account if you want to just kind of make this easier, but I highly suggest put this somewhere else as well, because you don't want that first 10 to 15% to get mixed up with this 5%, and that's what people kind of start tricking themselves at as well. Final notes: as your income grows, the percentage stays the same, but the impact multiplies. This formula gives you a structure and flexibility. You can tweak it, but the framework protects your wealth building journey. Use a budget tracker. There's a ton of different apps you can download, on the App Store. I would go through some of those and get a budget tracker. and apply this monthly, and also use it in an automatic system. So there's some websites like there's one called found.com where you can build folders within the app to allow the money to go to certain places that where you kind of see it a little different. I highly suggest doing something like that, or writing it down every month. Whatever you got to do to keep this stuff organized and everything isn't overlapping, do it, and keep it systematic where you're not having to think about it yourself. And so at the end of the day, again, this is the 15, 60, 25 wealth budgeting formula. Again, 15% future freedom, investments, and savings. The 60% is for living expenses, needs, and responsibilities. The 20% is growth and opportunities, self-investment. And last but not least, the 5% is for enjoyment and generosity, for fun and giving. I hope this video helps. I hope that you use this formula on a monthly basis and start building wealth for yourself. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.